Okay, so we are going to make a hammer using that basic knowledge that we've worked on so far with manipulating objects and just adding in a couple of new things. I'm going to start with a box, and I'm going to click and drag to designate the base, how wide I want that to be, and then I'm going to click and drag to designate the height, and you can adjust that after you want with the scale tool. Over on the right in the channel box, right after you make a shape, you have the option to add subdivisions, which means you're adding more geometry that you can manipulate. So in my height only, I'm going to change my subdivisions to 5, and when I hit the enter key, that gives me 5 little sections here that I can go in and manipulate. It just gives me more vertices, faces, or edges that I can click on and move. So now that I have this extra information, I'm going to right click on it and go to edge mode, and then I'm going to double click on this edge there, and if you look, because I double clicked, it selected all of the connecting edges around there. I'm going to hold shift and then do that again down here. So shift, double click, and that brought the ring all the way around it selected as well. Now with those selected, I'm going to get the scale tool. I'm going to click on the center box and shrink that in until I've got how thin I want that center piece of my handle. Now it looks kind of funny right now. It looks like a sideways bow tie. But if I deselect by clicking away and then come back and double click on just one of those edges, but switch to my move tool, I'm going to grab the arrow here and slide that up, and then come down and double click on the ring on the bottom and slide that down, and I now have that long skinny section that's the center of the hammer. Of course, by doing that, this section down at the bottom where your hand would actually hold the hammer isn't that big, so I could right click and go into face mode and then select that bottom face and get my move tool and just slide that down, and that gives me more of a section for my hand to fit to hold my hammer on. So we've got the main section of the hammer done. Now we just need to build this top part. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit, or dolly I should say. We're dollying in here. I want extra information to come out to the side, but if I just click on this face and get my move tool and move it, it takes that whole bottom section with it, and I don't want that, so I'm going to undo. This is where we're learning something new with this. We're going to do what's called an extrude, and the extrude will give us a whole new box right here. So to do an extrude, I'm going to go to Edit Mesh, Extrude, but make sure I click on this options box here. When I have my options open, I can make sure that my divisions, which is how many boxes at once that I want, is set to the right thing. So for us, we're going to leave this on 1 and then hit apply. And then always click on the blue arrow. If you do one of the other arrows, it does this funky stuff. So just click on the blue arrow and pull that out. See how it's given me a whole new box? I don't need a lot there, so I'm just going to bring it out a little bit and let go. Then I'm going to click on R to get my scale and click on this yellow box in the middle and shrink that in a little. So now when I look at this, I just made that kind of divot in a little bit. Now I need another box, so I'm going to hit apply again. Click on the blue arrow, pull that out a little bit. And then I need another one to go make it bigger again. So I'm going to hit apply one more time, get my blue arrow and pull that out, hit R for scale, bring that back out, and see how that the 3 extrudes have given me 3 sections here. I need one more extrude for that last main section, so I'm going to hit apply one more time, grab that blue arrow and pull out for that main section of the hammer. And maybe that went a little bit too far. I'm going to push that back a little bit. So now I've got the main section of the hammer. We just have to do the back end as well so that we can pry those nails back out of the wall if we need to. We're going to start out similar in that I'm still in face mode. I'm going to select the face. I'm going to hit apply, and I'm going to click on the blue arrow and pull that out. But this back section is going to curve down. So after I extrude it out, I'm going to press E for rotate and then grab this ring and just tilt it down a little. I'm going to do one more, so I'm going to hit apply, pull the blue arrow out, hit E for rotate, tilt that down a little bit. But this last section, there's actually two parts that kind of fork out on the end there. And I've extrude, I'm just going to keep getting these boxes. So I'm going to close extrude for a minute. I want to split this in half. And one way to do that is the other new thing we're going to do in this is if you go to Edit Mesh, you have an option called Add Divisions. I'm going to click on the options box for Add Divisions. The division levels is how many pieces do you want it to divide into. And if you look down here, it says it's going to divide by quads. So if I divide one level of quads, that will give me 4 sections over here. So let's hit apply and see that. So apply gives me 1, 2, 3, 4. That gives me one set of quads. I'm going to undo. Let's see what happens if I hit 2 levels of divisions with my quads. And I hit apply. See how that gave us 16 boxes? So this moves up exponentially. If I did 3 levels, I'd get 64 and so on. This is too many for what we're doing, so I'm going to undo. And I'm going to go back to just 1 level of divisions and hit apply. So I've got my 4 boxes, and I'm going to close that. Now we're just back to the same extruding stuff that we were doing before. So Edit Mesh, and there's my extrude and my options. I still want 1 division, but I don't want to do all 4 of these at the same time. So I'm going to click away to deselect. I'm going to hold Shift and select both of those on the same side, and then hit apply. Click on the blue arrow to pull that out, and see how that's giving me a prong? Maybe I can go a little bit farther with that. However, right now if I pull out both of these, they're still going to be lined up together. So I'm going to grab this green arrow and just bump it off to the side a little bit so there will be a split in the middle. Now let's do the next one. So if I select the top and hold Shift and get the second one there, hit apply one more time. I click on the blue arrow to pull that out. I can click on the green arrow to bring it over to the side a little bit, and I've got that double prong at the end that's going to help me pull out a nail. So now I can close my extrude, and there's the basis of the hammer. If you want to change how thick this is at the end, we could go to scale, bring that in a little bit. Same thing over here. I'm going to hold Shift and click both of those and then scale that down a little. So really, as you are manipulating objects, it is all about move, rotate, or scale with either the entire object, or you can come in and right click and go to faces, edges, or vertices. And just as long as you have something selected, not want me to select that other piece. There we go. As long as I have something selected, I can then move, rotate, or scale to get whatever it is that I'm trying to do. Maybe I'll come in and on this guy, come to face mode, maybe extrude this just one more time. Pull that out just a little bit, get my scale tool, bring that down just a little bit. And there's my hammer.